Hello, my precious humans. I'm Jamie Dawn, your revolutionary astrologer, bringing you your celestial wisdom for the week of December 27th, all the way through this calendar new year and January 2nd, 2022. And I hope that you have made it through that Venus-Pluto canoodling that has happened. It happened on Christmas night into the 26th, and we are still feeling it. And we will continue as Venus retrogrades through the sign of Capricorn, and she'll station and go direct at the end of January. Stay tuned because your January horoscopes by sign will be available to you around the first of the year and giving you a little bit more insight on that Venus-Pluto canoodling. But let's just talk about this as a generalized collective energy, because those of you who are tuned in to the energy fields, you're sensing this, you're feeling it. And the thing that I want to point out is that as we start out this week, we're coming off of the exact conjunction or canoodling of Venus and Pluto, but we also now have the moon in Libra as we start the week, making a square to the Venus Pluto in Capricorn. And what that can do is it really brings to light, even if, let's say, you got through the exactitude of Venus and Pluto, that it was, maybe it was no big deal. And you were able to do some of that deeper healing, which is also the positive side of the Venus-Pluto. But here we have the moon in Libra, which Libra is all about relationships, negotiating, fairness, and balance. And it's what we value when it comes to relating to others. And so when you've got this square coming on, there's a tension point that happens. And so we may have issues now where we talk about the Venus theme, which is relationships and finances and values, and Pluto being transformation, also going into maybe some of the deeper stuff that we don't normally talk about. We call it taboo simply because it's sort of the outlier. But the gift of Pluto is that it can take us into the unknown and pull things out that we may not have even known they were there that we can address. And when you have a square in the moon, it's going to create, obviously, emotions to be pretty intense. Now, granted, the moon in Libra can be a little bit factual, objective at times because, it's an air sign. So your mind, your emotions may just be more like, it is what it is kind of thing. Or you run away from conflict because you don't want to stir up the emotions. However, I would say that at the beginning of the week, it may force you with Pluto here and that square to talk about something in a relationship or in a financial situation, and maybe even talk about looking at how your values either align or misalign with another person or situation. You may look at this and go, I need to see where there could be some toxicity in my life. And as I start this new calendar year, I don't want to bring that in with me. And I have a feeling a lot of us are going to be reflecting on that. What do we want? We want clarity in our relationships. It's hard, though, with Venus being retrograde because Venus pulls us in and we start really looking at who am I in partnership with myself? Am I in alignment with my values? But the gift is that we can use this as a tool for deepening the awareness in ourselves. And the more self-aware we are, the more we can show up for another. We talk about how we want these really solid relationships and we want to work through something, or maybe there was some conflict that was stirred up a week ago or a couple weeks ago, and we're still processing it. And as I keep saying, if the relationship is more important than the subject matter, then approach it from a different angle. This is the gift of time. This is the gift of the moon in Libra. It can see all kinds of points of views. So use the beginning of this week to maybe reach out to that boss or that lover or that child or whoever, friend, whoever it might be, whatever the relationship dynamic is, and say, listen, I love you too much. I want to see how we can bridge this gap. And maybe it's just a matter of agreeing to disagree. Try not to get into the power struggles. Remember, very often when someone is projecting a power struggle onto you, it's because they feel powerless. And so if you're willing to use the positive side of Pluto, go underneath, keep staying with it, keep going deeper and deeper, asking those questions, not interrogating, but just asking that question of, I want to understand. I seek to understand, really listening deeply to try and understand another's point of view. And when you are sharing your point of view, watch how you may try and force it onto somebody else instead of just saying, this is what it is. Now, how can we find common ground? Mercury has been in Capricorn for about a week now, and Mercury a little over a week. And Mercury is joining Venus and Pluto, which gives us a more serious tone to our thoughts. Because remember, Mercury's the planet that helps us with our mental organization. It helps us with learning, connecting, communicating. And when it enters practical Capricorn, our thoughts get really practical. It gets very down to earth. It's like, I don't want to just talk. I want to start doing. I want to see what the plan is, right? And so with Mercury joining Venus and Pluto, we're going to sit down with someone or a group or whatever the relationship dynamic, maybe it's financial, and we're going to start planning. We're going to put some goals in place. Happens every year around New Year's. It's a perfect time for us to, if you're not a New Year's resolution person, that's fine. But it's always good to have some sort of goal that we're working towards. Even if the way we get there may be a bit of a detour at times, at least we know where we're going, because we know this. If you're traveling, which I love to travel. So if I'm traveling somewhere, I say, okay, I'm going to go from here to the East Coast. Well, I may make the plan to get to the East Coast, but then something comes in and detours me or whatnot. And so, but eventually I will get there. So I have to know where I'm going in order to buy the ticket or in order to get in the car and start setting my destination. And so that's what we're going to be looking at. And so the gift of this is that series planning can lead to the long-term understanding and commitments that most of us are looking for. Letting go of relationships that no longer serve us may also come into play. So with Mercury here, we're having these deeper conversations, and I'm going to offer this as a tool. And some of you who are familiar with it, just continue to use this as a reminder. Let's use the golden circle, the why, the what, the how. Why this is important to me, why I want to establish this, or why I want this in my life, because that lends itself to motivation. We can offer our vulnerability that way and let people know this is what I'm motivated by and why I want it, and which builds trust. And trust is important in relationships. Even if you're letting the relationship go, you at least have the trust that you're speaking your truth. Then you go into the what. What is it that you really want out of this relationship? Or what is it that you really need in order to be the best version of yourself if you stay connected with this person or this situation? And then the how. How do you want to put this in place? And you can apply this to your finances. You can apply it to your career goals. You can apply it to your health goals, whatever it might be. And so we're looking at our bigger picture. We're looking at the bigger ideas that we have and the visions that we have. Do watch out for conversations that can appear to come across more controlling. Maybe you're the one who's being more controlling or manipulative because that's what you want. We're looking at trying to be constructive. And so if you feel as though someone is trying to manipulate you, or maybe you're tempted to get manipulative on the negative side, because not all manipulation is bad. We need to be able to shape things, and that's what manipulation really is. But if we get to a place where we become more controlling over it, then we lose the constructive quality. And I go back to, you can't make somebody want to do something. You can force people to do things, but their spirit inside of them, you can't make them want to do it. And so why would you? I mean, at that point, it's almost like then you just have this little robot, that's why they say you can't force someone to love you. You don't want them to love you. You want them to choose to love you, right? You want that to be a natural outpouring. But if you're manipulating and controlling it, eventually it'll just go away or it'll blow up in your face, right? The other thing I want to talk about is Jupiter is officially entering Pisces again. It happened back in May. I mentioned this before. It happened May 13th. And then at the end of July, it retrograded back into Aquarius, where it's been sitting there until the 29th this week. So Jupiter officially enters its traditional sign of Pisces. It was the traditional ruler, still is. It's a co-ruler now with Neptune. But we're going to talk about Jupiter being our planet of expansion and good fortune and generosity and, yes, extravagance. So there could be an overabundance of things that have to do with Pisces energy, which is all about our compassion, our spirituality. Sometimes it is wearing those rose-colored glasses, maybe false hope, false teachers. Do watch out for that. But what I will say is look at where the water signs are in your chart, okay? So you start Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. These are your water signs. Everybody has them. So if you're looking at your natal chart, Jupiter is in the water sign of Pisces. So it will start making trines to Cancer and to Scorpio. So in these moments, as Jupiter is transiting through Pisces, it will activate more intuitive nature, more sensitivity. You think about water. Water's the one element that can fill up every space. And in Pisces, it's like the sponge. So it can make us very empathic, very compassionate. Great healing can take place. Let's use this as an opportunity for healing. What we may find is that all this personal healing that we've been through over the last several months, years, can now be of great benefit, that's Jupiter, benefit to others, where we can help others heal. And we also can gain knowledge through time spent in quiet. We may find ourselves retreating just a little bit, having spiritual epiphanies that need time to process. Because here's the other thing with intuition. And those of you who get a little caught up in the glamour of it, I'm guilty of that occasionally because it's so much fun. But what we have to remember is that intuition only gives us a piece. With Jupiter here, it will expand it, but we don't always get the entire picture. And so what we want to do is take time out to let whatever drops in, whatever shows up for us, to just gestate for a little bit, to give it some space so that it can integrate, so that we can gather more information. We may find ourselves drawing teachers to us that can help us suss it out a little bit, or we become the teacher ourselves. I would say there's a lot of opportunities here for those of you who have heavy water emphasis to look at how you may become a teacher in your life. This also creates a lot of generosity and this benevolent feeling. So you may find yourself wanting to give and looking for that audience in which you can generously give things. And not everybody is open to receive, but with Jupiter and Pisces, it can give us a greater sense of openness and receptivity. Hope and faith returns to lift us up out of these heavier, mundane kind of things. Jupiter in Aquarius gets very aloof, very matter of fact. And it's like, here's some big ideas. And it's just the fact, but you don't get that warm, fuzzy, let's hug, let's, can I place my hands on you and do some healing work or massage or whatever. Now with Jupiter in Pisces, we have the opportunity to be able to offer that to ourselves and to others. Do watch out for those false teachers, because one of the things that is so difficult that we are all coming through our own wounding is that sometimes we will grasp onto anything and we will drink sand if somebody tells us that it's as good as water, right? So we just need to be careful about that. Vet your teachers out, make sure that they have a good reputation, make sure that you're not following blindly, that it lines up with your intuition, that they're not asking you to do something that is out of alignment with your values, things like that. Just do watch for that. But as a general rule, I would say that we'll find a lot of healing and a lot of wonderful compassion and opportunities that show up for us in the next few months. And our sensitivity is at an all-time high. Some of us may feel like our nerves are standing on the outside of our skin. So it can activate this feeling of taking things personally or put us in extreme emotions. So do watch for that, especially if you have those heavy or active water placements in your chart. The other thing is New Year's Eve, we have the moon and Mars making a brief canoodling. I just want to bring this out because it is New Year's Eve, and moon and Mars in Sagittarius is going to give us just for a moment, maybe this feeling that we can have some freedom in our lives, that we can expand ourselves and that we're motivated to find ways to get more hope in the next year, and that we're finding ways to have more freedom and more ability to expand all of our experiences over the next few months. And of course, we're still working with the Saturn-Uranus square it's been happening all of 2021 and it's carrying us into 2022. So while there's so much positivity that I see coming for us, there's also still rules that we'll have to play by. There's the little bit of the stop and start, thinking out of the box, yet a resistance when we present an idea that's a bit out of the box. So anything goes, sudden surprises, that sort of thing. However, let's not get so far ahead. Let's enjoy the New Year's Eve, because I feel as though there's so many good things that are going to come out of it. Just for that brief moment, let's enjoy having a little bit of hope and faith and being with the person or people that we enjoy most. And I'll say this, if you're alone for New Year's Eve and you're sentimental, which Jupiter and Pisces can make us pretty sentimental, if you are, and you're feeling just like, oh, bah humbug or whatever, lean in with your community. Find a friend, even if it's not the person you want to be with, if they bring out the best in you, or at least they celebrate you, then maybe spend that evening with them. Maybe do a meditation. It's a beautiful time on the New Year's Eve to be able to pull in, be quiet for just a little bit, and then find that way in which you can gift it to others, whatever the information flows in. A lot of people like to do vision boards during this time, or go to a meditation circle or anything like that, music. So yeah, give yourself permission to do whatever brings great joy in your life. All right, you guys, thank you for your love, your support. Thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing these videos. I'm so grateful for you in this calendar year of 2021, and I'm looking forward to many more things to celebrate, to support, and to walk through with each one of you. Come find me at jamiedawn.com, and let's have such a great finish to 2021 and entering 2022. All right, you guys, have a great year.